Hi. Peter David, legendary comic book writer and creative giant, passed away this week. I think he was 68. If you're a Gen Xer, you've probably been like me and you grew up with the comics like Hulk, X Factor, Spider Man 2099. So you already know he didn't write superheroes. He gave them humanity. I had a friend back in high school who was the first comic book collector that I ever knew. And I remember thinking what a nerd she was. And later, my daughter and son started collecting comic books. And I realized it's not just for nerds. There's really great stories in the comics if you take the time from our crazy busy lives and actually pick one up and read it. The genius behind some of these writers is just awesome. And of course, that's why over most of our Gen X lives, we've had these Marvel series that were created because the writers of comics are just so genius. And clearly, Peter David is one who will be missed. His version of the Hulk, he wasn't just an angry, Hulk smash. It wasn't just about his anger. He was layered, and the Hulk was sad, and he was smart, and he was complex and complicated, and he loved. And these emotions that in a monster the world hadn't really gotten to know yet, that it was possible to be both good and bad. And we, I think, as people, we really relate to that because we know that we're not all good and we know that we're not all bad. And I think that the way these writers, and specifically Peter David, wrote for us really gave us that connection that really changed some of our lives. He was writing characters that didn't just fight villains, they wrestled with themselves too. I guess that's the part that stuck with me the most was we really connected to that. I talk a lot about OCD here, and because I'm actually both ADHD and OCD both, which if you don't know, both of them apart can be really a mess. But then dealing with both of them together kind of has thrown a lot of my life decisions into chaos. But being able to understand that sometimes these good guy monsters, we could see ourselves in them and a connection. Peter David made plot twists meaningful, not just a surprise for sake, but he shifts things so that it really mirrored real life and the trauma, the redemption, the identity. He gave us characters that changed their minds, broke their own rules, started over. Maybe that's why we loved them so much. I know for me it was because I saw so much of myself, and it grabs you inside. The storyteller becomes the story, and he's a legacy, and he left behind so much for our generation, for generations after. And I hope that anyone who still has comic books, please take care of them, treasure them. There are pieces of our history and our humanity in those, and we may never go back to that. So hold on to your comic books. I know that if you dug into his personal life, he actually had his medical care cut off this month. So he's passing in May of 2025, if anyone sees this later. And because of our current administration, we are just defunding so many things, and people who need medical care are not getting it. So we don't know yet why he passed, but he had a series of ailments in the last 10 to 15 years, I think it was. And his wife has a GoFundMe page if you want to look it up and find her. I think that it's a horrible situation that we're going through right now, but I'm going to try to keep this realm here as political free as I can. But I hope that we're not causing the early leavings of other greats. So, anyway, rest in power.